Welcome back, everybody, to MB2 Underground. I am Sarah Kiefer, and I'm joined with Joe Fox today. Joe, how's it going?
Welcome, Ms. Kiefer. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What's new with you?
Not much. Super excited about our guest today.
Yeah.
So
Tell us a little bit about him.
Yeah. Well, as you know, our listeners are founders. They're entrepreneurs. They have started businesses mostly from this, the ground up, and they love to hear from other founders, right?
Yeah.
Especially those that have, significant presence in the dental industry. So today, very excited, very pleased to introduce Stephen Maroulis, founder and CEO of Jarvis Analytics. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Welcome, Steve.
Hey, just to kick us off, why don't you walk us through your background to include the founding of Mesa6, right?
Yeah. So I founded a company called, so my background is computer science, but I always loved marrying the idea of business and computer and get somewhere.
Yeah.
Founded an agency, marketing agency or a digital services agency in 2012. And started working with, we were the agency of record for Yellow Pages at the time, and we did some, high-end clients, and did websites and SEO and digital spend and all those things. And somehow stumbled into a healthcare client out of Tennessee, the Howell Allen Clinic. That was part of the Vanderbilt Hospital Health later, and they had a bunch of different, obviously, doctors, and started building the first website for them. And that was quite a journey, and then managing their PPC and their ad spend.
Yeah.
And then from there, I got introduced to a pain management group that actually had 70-something locations, and they were running on Athena. So we started working with them, and that was quite a big, change, going from solo clients to somebody with like 60, 70
Mega
clinics.
groups.
Wow.
Yeah. Did exactly the same thing, built a brand new website, managed all their PPC spend and their referral management and outreach to doctors. Because obviously they were looking for referrals as a means to expand their business, right? In addition to just advertising. And we did some really cool things with, and probably legal now.
How so?
With spamming.
We can cut this.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's fine. You can keep it. Back then, I'm sure you guys have received those spam fax. Yeah. Your fax goes off and suddenly it's like something that showed up.
Yep.
Yeah, so we used to take basically a fax list from them of physicians, and then we just run a fax blaster. It was actually a module on what became Jarvis.
Really?
And you could just create a campaign, same way you do on MailChimp, but for fax. And, we thought it was mostly ethically used.
Yeah.
But
You said mostly ethically used.
Well, meaning, I don't know if you can source 10,000 physicians and just dump them and suddenly send them
You said what we did.
fax in a minute and a half, but we did, yeah. Or they did through our technology that we built. So anyway, something along those lines. And that was a lot of work I did with them. Nothing to do with analytics at the time. It was all about workflows, inbound marketing, customer relationship management system, things of that nature. How do you maintain 75 websites and, under one umbrella? And then we went and built their pharmacy and a bunch of different things. And somewhere along the line, by happenstance, met another gentleman that was also a dentist in town, and was the founder of Floss Dental.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And at the time had, I think, 22 locations, 23 locations. So
Wow.
we took them over as a client.
When was that about?
2013.
2013. Wow.
2013
So
or
this
14.
has all happened in a year or two.
Yeah.
Wow.
Within a year or two, yeah. And at the same time, obviously, Solomon Ahmed, the CEO of DECA, was also a friend of mine and a neighbor. And we got chatting, and at the time he was only at 8 offices. I think 8 or 9 offices. Just to give you an idea of scale.
Yeah.
I think, anyway, so started working with Floss, and we continued to build on what we had. And I think one of the things that came out is okay, now you're measuring marketing. How can you actually measure practice performance?
Yeah.
And they were running on Eaglesoft at the time. So I literally called that was me with my knuckles.
I was like, what
Sorry,
was that?
what was that sound? So I called up their IT company, and I'm like, hey, can I get a copy of Eaglesoft? And he's like, yeah, we can get you a server. It's $500 and to reimage it and whatever the hardware. And I'm like, okay, sure. So literally picked it up one day and took it back to my office and plugged it in. And we said, okay, let's just start figuring out how to grab some of that data.
Unreal.
Started with production, collection, adjustments, very basic KPIs, and then kept building on that. That's kind of like the story.
The origin story, the genesis.
The origin story. And that's where I met Justin Puckett.
Yeah.
So Puckett was the...
we call him Uncle Pucks around here.
Every episode has a shout out to
His name
Justin
comes
Puckett.
up. So that's where I met Justin. Justin was, I think, their chief legal counsel at the time.
Yeah.
And so that was like 2014. And then like lost track of Justin and everybody for a year. And then in 2016, he rings me up and he's like, hey, remember what you were building at Floss? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, can you come and help us finish this here? And he's like, I'm working with a group. There are like 67 offices, I think. I think when we went live, February 2017, it was 67 or 72 offices.
Wow.
Wow.
Because I remember the first invoice.
7 years ago.
7 years ago, and now you're like 10x, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty insane.
It's just
Absolutely.
crazy to think because back in those days, we would have our practices individually track new patients daily in an Excel document. And if they didn't do it, I mean, I worked in marketing back in the day, so that was the only way I could tell if what we were doing was working was if somebody filled out an Excel document. I remember getting the first preview. Mind blown.
Yeah, or you'd ask the customer, like when they came in, the patient, like, well, how did you find out about us? And they'd be like, I saw a billboard, or like whatever the option would be on the PMS, which is often wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Usually wrong, yes.
So what was the capability difference in those 2 years, 2014 to 2016? Like what had transpired in those 2 years?
We spent a lot of time with the MB2 team in building up what became ultimately Jarvis. So I think Jarvis pre-MB2 was more of an inbound marketing tool, and you could integrate your ad spend and all those things, and some basic analytics. But I think with MB2 we just took it to the next level, and it was like really a life-changing moment for me because we actually had access to a client that knew what they wanted, had evaluated a bunch of different solutions, couldn't find what they wanted.
Yep.
And they're like, okay, we know we can bring it to life. Let's work together. So I think we spent like literally a year before we went live.
Absolutely. I mean that's one of the biggest keys to success for a founder, right? Is figuring out what the client actually needs.
What we call product market fit.
Exactly.
So we had that from day one, like, in many ways. Now the magic was like, how do you take that and replicate it now and take it to like 3,000 clients or 10,000 clients, right? Which is the goal, keep increasing.
So what was that magic, or what was the biggest challenge?
So it was like a snowball. So we started with MB2, and then came, I think Sentinel reached out and said, hey, we have Ultima in Canada, so why don't we just go work with Canada? So we spent like a year working with Ultima and doing the Canadian integrations, and then came back here, found another group, P4D, and a lot of happenstance. It's really interesting, like when they prepare you for like what you're doing, and you're like, I always knew. I mean, I kind of knew, but I didn't have all the dots and everything connected, right? And then things kind of like flow, and it happens.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think the more effort you put into it, and the more you're open, and obviously, I said we built Jarvis. Jarvis is built with DSOs for DSOs, and I think the reason for that is that we do actively listen very, very closely.
Yeah.
We anticipate and we build something that can scale and help many DSOs. So in many ways, like for example, clinical KPIs is something that like we didn't build with MB2. We built with with Deca Dental and with P4D. So
because they asked for it.
They asked for it, and they were very explicit in terms of what they wanted. And I'm like, okay, well, that presents a great opportunity. Now, fast forward, I don't know, 3-4 years, and we have create your own KPIs. So you're no longer constrained, but what we provide, you can actually go build your own.
Wow.
So there's a lot of incremental changes that happen, right, on a daily basis, and it's just a matter of like having the vision, being able to see your clients, anticipate what they want, and in many ways your clients don't know what they want, right, which is the other thing.
Tricky part.
Right. I mean, did you see yourself being so plugged into the dental industry? I mean, you started out in healthcare and pain management.
No.
All of a sudden, you're like, oh, okay.
And before healthcare, it was like personal injury. So like a lot of my friends are actually the guys you see running their billboards around the law firm. That's like one of the logos we did in branding, and we used to run his billboards and
the guys with the commercials.
And the guys with the commercials. Yeah.
Wow. What was the biggest hiccup, the biggest challenge in those maturity years? So you knew what the customer wanted for the most part.
Yeah.
Right? Was it just actually getting the coding, getting this figured out?
I think it was that, and it was also like being able to like run 2 businesses and fund, because bootstrapped is. So I was in Middle East, 8 hours ahead, and doing other work over there with ministries and creating websites, and and then in parallel, like 2 a.m. local time there, me starting to work here.
Hustling.
Yeah.
Not much
there was a lot of hustling.
Yeah. How did you scale your business, your staff, your company? I mean,
Up until 2020, it was like 99% devs. It was just like me. I mean, I didn't have a product manager, didn't have a marketing manager, didn't have. So 2020, I brought in again through a friend of mine, because it's a small circle, Melissa Marquez as our COO. And Melissa was lucky because, I know V wanted to hire her, but she had a non-compete. That was the joke earlier on. You missed it because we were talking about how do you circumvent a non-compete. And you said you set up an MB3 and you hire Melissa on an MB3 and then move her back.
Love it.
Something along those lines. But I think we were very, very lucky because, Melissa, I think, had a non-compete and she'll laugh when she hears this. It's a true story, I think. But it was a great opportunity for her to shine in a startup environment. And Melissa came in and was kind of like a co-founder in many ways. I mean, she took the helm of customer success and support and onboarding and a million things. And it was a great fit for us, even though she probably thought, like, what the hell am I doing with this guy? Like,
this guy from Athens.
From Greece, yeah. And then I brought in a co-CEO also, David Blank, that helped me with a bunch of things that, a very unconventional duo. Not experienced with software, but nonetheless a very good operator.
Yeah.
And he helped in many ways in things that I didn't want to do.
For sure.
So that freed up my time to go build more product, and then Melissa freed up my time to go figure out more operations and how to run things. So I think that definitely was a turning corner for us.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened. So literally we're talking about like what, March? Was it March 2020?
March 2020?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so literally Melissa joins like January
Wow.
and COVID happens.
Unreal. I talked to a dentist most recently, and he said the keys to his success are great product, right? Great people, and then the ability to market that, right? What you have, and so like that's super cool, right? That Jarvis wouldn't exist without those key hires.
But the marketing is really interesting because like when people like something, they'll reach out, they'll hear about it, they'll tell their friends. So there was a lot of virality to Jarvis at the very beginning.
The marketing just kind of happens itself.
it
You
just
don't necessarily have to push.
Yeah.
Right.
So what was going on in your head during COVID, right? Got this business that's ramping. You've had a lot of success.
You're hiring people.
It's actually pretty funny because it was a great opportunity for us from a tech debt standpoint. Because remember I mentioned the story, we started with MB2, then we built something for Ultima. At the time, we used to have different code bases, which became a problem once you were at like client number 7, 8, 9. So because you now have to maintain different environments.
Yeah, you don't have too many
So you don't have a single
bases.
code base, right? You have different. So during COVID, we said, okay, we're going to take 2 months and rewrite everything. And that's what we did.
Good use of your time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the team stepped up and did an amazing job.
And then helped you scale.
And I helped scale, right.
Wow.
Because then it kind of like gave us the agility to maintain one code base and go build a bunch of things we wanted to on that single code base.
Oh, that's a super
Prior
cool
to
story.
that, what MB2 had was only on MB2. Nobody could access it. Nobody could say it, only MB2 and our team. So there was no shared components.
Wow.
And that was, in hindsight, problems which we faced.
Yeah, you fixed.
What else did we do? We didn't furlough anybody.
Good for you.
Took a pay cut. Everybody, including Melissa, which voluntarily did that. That showed me like her character, like big time.
It's going to be stressful owning a business during such a tumultuous time, trying to make sure your business is taken care of, your family's taken care of, your people are taken care of.
And there was nobody knew what the heck was going to happen.
Yeah, we were all just making it
right?
up.
It was.
What is really interesting, we were also lucky is that we were 100% remote. So my team had definitely really good MacBooks and iPhones and connectivity and everything. So there was no like exactly. There was no impact.
Most people were scrambling for those things at the
I
time.
remember now, like looking back into people having desktops and trying to figure out how to get laptops, and you can't get laptops because it's like
I was just
supply
trying
chain
to build an
issues.
IKEA desk so I had somewhere to
Seriously
work in my
though, right?
600 square foot apartment.
But that's what most people were doing. They were scrambling to have a home work environment, and it's it's not everybody has that as readily available, right? So what a trip! So tell us about Jarvis now. Where are you guys at? What's happening currently?
So Jarvis was acquired by Henry Schein One.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
May 17, 2021. I
Yeah,
still
that was
remember
so cool.
date. So it's coming up like 10 days, 3 years. Pretty life-changing.
Yeah.
From a personal standpoint, obviously, a great exit.
Yeah, what was that process like?
The process was fairly painful. I think
I'll sugarcoat it for everybody. It sucked.
yeah, I mean, there's diligence, right? And I think we were very prepared, and I was also very OCD, and I made sure that if you were to meet with HR, make sure you have a deck, and you're organized and you can explain and articulate. So I think I was very OCD and I had that running very smoothly. But for the most part, as you can imagine, it's a 360 review of your business. So accounting, tax, HR, sales, marketing, product, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, and in parallel, while you do that, you're working through a document and a lot of uncertainty, right? So the document, you have like an off counsel, and the other team has an off counsel, and you have a diligence, environment, and you have to upload billions of documents and answer a bunch of questions. So definitely stressful. Definitely a point where I probably gained like 30 pounds, 40 pounds. Like,
well, and you said May
stressy.
2021, right?
Yeah.
So like COVID is still COVIDing at this point. So you're still managing that on top of it.
Yeah. It was a pretty interesting and challenging time for sure.
Was anybody offering a similar product at the time? Did you have any real competitors?
So I think, and I don't want to give them a shout out, but there's a few competitors out there. Dental Intel, I think, was the biggest one at the time.
Yeah.
Dental Intel has taken a different approach and catering to the solo segment, and to this day they still haven't figured out the DSO and the enterprise. I know they're trying, and sorry if you hear me.
No SARS on the MB2 Underground podcast.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I think there were, and the other competition is really like groups thinking they can do that themselves. Right, so building something in-house. And the biggest problem with that is what I always tell them, which is like, MB2 can go do it. They have like thousands of people, and they did try to do it. But at the end of the day, you have to realize, are you a DSO or are you a technology company?
Yep, focus on your core competency,
Because
right?
if you're a technology company, then I say, I look forward to competing with you. Like, we'll figure out a way to
See you in the
compete.
trenches.
Yes, in the trenches,
absolutely.
right.
Yeah, good luck.
And there's security and all kinds of things that go in the
bet.
background with the homegrown solutions. Like, so we're working on a SOC,
keeping yourself
SOC 2,
protected.
Yeah, SOC 2 Type 2. Making sure that you have a secure environment, that you do annual penetration testing. There's a lot of things that go to commercializing a platform, if you will.
No, I bet. So what has it been like to be a founder, entrepreneur of a very, very successful business, and then be part of a larger organization, right? What has that transition been like for you personally?
So the first year was a little bit challenging, mainly because of the fact that I'm integrating a business and I'm still assimilating to an executive team, or if you will, or somebody at the role at HS1. So that was very, very challenging and at times very frustrating, because you relinquish control to a lot of things that are working, and now wondering on the other end, is it going to work out smoothly? And of course, sometimes it doesn't. So that's one of the issues at hand. I think year 2 and year 3 now definitely a much better place, both from an agility standpoint, integration standpoint, seamlessness. I think we have a brand new executive team for the most part, and a new CEO, and we connect very, very well. We see eye to eye, and I've taken over some other responsibilities and a much bigger part of the business.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Partner mindset is something that doesn't always exist with a merger or an acquisition, but it's key, right? It's key to that process being run smoothly.
Yeah. Correct, because they're buying your business on multiples of revenue too, right? So you can't just be like, hey, see you guys.
Yep.
Your problem. No, it's still my problem.
Yeah.
So tell us about the future. What's next for Jarvis? Right? What do you focus on? What do you think Jarvis looks like in 10 years?
So I'm running now what we call the patient experience in addition to the analytics, and that's basically describing platforms that, for the most part, were disjointed and were related to patient communications, texting, email campaigns, websites. So I'm reimagining the entire patient experience.
That's awesome.
And how it fits with the practice management system. So I think like last week we issued a press release with Google. We did the first implementation of Reserve with Google for healthcare.
Oh, cool.
So it actually takes your Google business profile and it adds a services feed that comes from the scheduler. And we also added a big book online button.
Wow.
That when you press it, it just takes you one click straight to the scheduling platform.
Oh my gosh, that's the dream.
So working on some of those things, we did OCR. So we can, I don't know about you guys, but like every time we go to a provider, you have to fill in the form 10 times.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Then you show up there and they ask for your driver's license, and then it's more forms, and then it's more your insurance card. And I'm like, okay, this like sucks.
This is ridiculous. I've got 5 kids. I just had to do it for 7 people.
I can only imagine.
Yeah,
So
1,000 kids.
So some of the new workflows we're working with involve using Google Document AI or Google Vision, and basically being able to take a picture of your driver's license, your insurance card, and pre-filling everything.
Wow.
Because we think the experience really sucks, and when you start looking at it from a consumer standpoint, you're like, my God, like like you just mentioned, why do you make everybody have to type these
Yep.
super long forms
Yeah, ridiculous.
that are typically not mobile friendly?
Mm-hmm.
That if something happens and you get a call and you go back, you have to refresh it, and if you refresh it, it retains 0. So
You're
you have to
solving
type it again.
everyone's annoyances, is what
Yeah,
I'm
so I think
hearing.
like if we do that, we have a pretty good chance at improving a bunch of things. 10 years, I wish I could see that far out.
Yeah.
But I imagine everything is without an interface, and everything is voice driven, and everything
it's
is, you know,
fascinating.
you wear it in your eyes like the Vision Pro.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
I love to talk to technologists, right? Like, because like 10 years is way too far.
It's way too far. Yeah, I mean,
Few
look
months
what's
at a
happening in
time.
the last 2 years. Like, I mean, look
Right.
at what's happening now with, you know, Gemini and ChatGPT
Oh,
and all
that's
those
unreal.
things.
Yeah, that's unreal.
So as your role has shifted, how is it balanced with your personal life? I know you've got a
It's
baby
not.
on the way.
It's not, but we're working on that.
Congratulations.
Oh, I love
Thank you.
following your wife and looking at baby updates and house updates and animal rescue updates.
Yeah, we have a lot of that happening.
We haven't talked in like 3 years, and I know everything that's happening in your life.
That's true. I need to tell my wife to make her profile private.
The beauty of technology.
Just let me be a little creeper.
No, I'm
Love
just
it.
messing with you. We have a daughter coming due September. So very excited.
Congratulations,
awesome.
September what?
September 4th.
Oh, okay.
Great month.
But
Great
hopefully maybe a little later.
Virgo.
I know. I'm hoping it'll be more on the Libra side.
Yes.
And not the Virgo.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a
We had
Libra.
this discussion
We
last
did.
week. I love it. I love it.
So we'll see. So we have that going. Yeah, I don't know. It's very hard to take a founder and let them, I don't know, retire or like is out. That these moments don't exist because you're conditioned
Yeah. To always be
to
creative.
always be creating, to always be listening, to always be problem solving, to always.
Well,
like,
you
do
probably
something.
enjoy that. Like it's hard to let go.
It's pretty funny. I was at Thrive Live last week, and it was like 3 days at the Henry Schein Inc. Conference, and I talked to so many people. And I come back home, even though I'm very extroverted. I come back home and I'm like, I don't want to talk to anyone. I'm just gonna go up in my movie
I
room,
know that
close the
feeling.
doors, and just watch movies and veg out.
Got to do that sometimes.
So as I get older, I mean, like, I'm like, what am I gonna do?
Right.
How am I gonna like balance this? I don't know.
So if you're forced to retire someday, what is a solution that you would like to solve for humans, customers in any walk of
Yeah.
life, in the car
It's like
industry,
a
and the
very
cooking?
loaded question.
That's a good question,
But you've
Joe.
got an
God,
idea.
how can I solve something for
But-
everything?
But like you said, entrepreneurs don't
life
shut
mission?
it off, right? Like
I don't have one.
take care of that
You're like,
beautiful
just
little
keep
girl.
going.
I just keep. What am I saying to my team? I'm like, we live to fight another day.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
my life's mission to make it through the
I
next
love
day and solve more problems. I haven't thought about it. It's a great question. What do you want to leave behind, a legacy? I imagine family is very, very important. I think the business is something that people will forget.
Well,
That's a good reminder.
Yeah, I think it's very, very important to think about like how many days we have, and
Yeah,
sometimes uncertainty, and plans are plans, but I think what matters is now. So there's a little bit of that, trying to like slow down and
yep.
Especially if the majority of our listeners are I can't say that word. Just say no.
entrepreneurs.
Entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Like the reminder that the business is always going to be there, and that the legacy you leave behind can sometimes be greater than that.
100%.
But it's really interesting because it's like, even now, it's still my baby. Like, I get entrenched in every detail. Like, people don't think I'm very detailed, and I'm like, no, that should actually be my middle name. Like, in fact, I get
Steve Detail.
major OCD with details. Like, I mean, and then I'll spot check, and then I'll go down and drill down, and then I'll drive everybody crazy.
You've got your notes on your iPad in front of you.
And then I'll be like, hey, this makes no
The only
sense.
guest to have done that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, it makes no sense. Why are you doing it this way? So I think, that takes us in a different conversation on what I'm looking for on my team. But I think definitely from an entrepreneurial standpoint, it's very hard to let go
Yeah, absolutely.
when you create something. I mean, look at V. I mean, he's always
100%. Always around.
always
involved,
around.
yeah.
I mean, no matter what time I text him, he'll respond. And
Yep.
Yeah, this is baby number 1, and then you got baby number 2 on the way.
that's kind of like, I think that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, most important question I think I got to ask you today: what is the best Greek restaurant in all of Dallas? We've got a pretty thriving Greek community, correct?
I think so. Not good Greek restaurants. yet.
Really?
Yeah.
I
In
don't know about
LA,
Greek
I
food.
think really good Greek food. In
Okay.
Arizona, good Greek food. Florida, I don't know
Didn't
why.
know that.
I was in Vegas actually, like I mentioned last week, and I took our executive team to Milos. That's one of my favorite restaurants.
Okay.
One of the best meals we've had,
All right, so
hands
there you go.
down.
Vegas, Milos,
At
and
the
Vegas.
Venetian, yeah.
Awesome.
Greek food has a lot of olives, right?
Okay. Yes. Greek olive oil.
I don't know that much about Greek food. I was thinking like, I don't know that I've ever had like Greek food.
Well, there's a great Greek festival, or I thought it was great.
The Greek festival. There you go. That's a good shout out.
Yeah, the Trinity, the Holy Trinity
the
Church.
church.
Yeah, I live like a block away. We'll go to the Greek festival. And we'll check it out.
But there's olives everywhere.
Not in the desserts.
Okay.
There's plenty of wine, Kiefer, Miss Kiefer. I think you'll enjoy it.
Sold.
Yeah,
And there's
very
plenty of dishes without olives.
Okay.
But they have olive oil.
I'll allow it.
So you have a thing for olives.
It's just like the texture.
Black or green or all of them?
Ugh, all of it.
Interesting.
And it's everywhere. I don't know.
It's one of the best
good. Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
food items I can imagine.
It's pretty
It's
impressive.
fine if it's oiled, but
Well, and the things they've used olives for over history have been pretty cool.
like what?
Oh my gosh, like they used to use it to wax
Citrus
or to coat wood, right?
And
Or-
we're eating that. That seems real healthy.
No, to preserve the wood for bridges and such. And it's a profound,
But not olive oil.
profound plan.
I don't think it was olive oil.
That's just like the actual
I
olives.
love it. No. Hey,
Okay, we'll check it out.
really appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely.
I
Thank
know
you.
you're busy man, about to be busier.
Yeah,
so,
we'll let you go hop in your Cybertruck. That's what it's called? Cybertruck?
I think so.
You're like, I think. That thing is a tank.
It's great to meet you, Stephen.
Very good to meet you.
Thank you for having us. And
Very big fan, obviously, of what you guys have done
I
and
appreciate
doing.
that.
And I think your marketing presence is insane and unmatched.
we've got an incredible team, handpicked by Dr. V. So,
Yeah.
that's the only way he'd have it.
And I told you I'm jealous. Now I need to go fix a podcast room. I don't know what I'm going to do.
I mean, this was Dr. V's idea, so it's fun.
Vision.
We're having a blast just talking to great folks like you and, helping our listeners learn a little something.
We were trying to do something with Melissa and Minute with Mel. I think that was the name. That's how far we went. but maybe I
like
should
it.
go
But that's
grab
a
her
great
again
start.
and start
That's
doing
a
it.
great start.
A Minute with Mel, 1 minute.
That's perfect, yeah.
Just your
Per
quick,
day.
like, micro episodes.
Yeah,
You
Michael.
got 60 seconds. You
love
better
it.
spit it
That's
out.
it. Go
Man,
fast.
Efficiency.
Yeah,
The
this is
Twitter of
great.
podcasts. Cool.
Thank
Well,
you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. Listeners, really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us on the MB2 Underground podcast. We will catch you next time.